dressed in a strange way, carrying a strange flag. Who could this be? We're going to find out. Step up here, sir. It's Januarius McGann. Now, Mr. McGann, first of all, tell us, of what country is this, the flag?
The flag of Bulgaria.
Bulgaria? Turn around, people see you there. Bulgaria? Most Americans don't even know where Bulgaria is for sure. What were you doing over there? What was your job, your work?
My job was to be a newspaper reporter.
An Ohio farm boy that became a newspaper reporter going around the world covering stories that were happening in far-off places. Now, there was news in Bulgaria at that time. The people of that little country were trying to be free from the rulers that had ruled them for 500 years, the Turks. Were these Turks nice rulers for the Bulgarians, would you say?
No.
They were. What were they like?
They were harsh.
They were harsh, that's right. And what were they doing to the Bulgarians that wanted to get their freedom?
Savage cruelty.
Yeah, they were, that's right, they were putting them to death, and it was a terrible thing. You went, you saw how bad things were. What did you do about it?
I wrote 10 strong stories to make the British Mayor Reese's job so that the Russians fight for the Bulgarians.
That's right, right. The whole situation changed because of the great stories that you wrote about what was happening. And then you didn't just write stories. You actually took matters in hand. You said, "Follow me, Bulgarians," and you led them yourself into battle, helping them to defeat the Turks and win freedom for that country. Now, today they still celebrate their day of national freedom on what special day to you?
My birthday.
The birthday of an Ohio farm boy who became the liberator of Bulgaria. And I'll tell you what, when you drive into New Lexington, Ohio, and see the sign at the edge of town that says, "This is the birthplace of Januarius McGann, the liberator of Bulgaria," you say, "What? Who? What's that sign say?" And now we understand what this little known but remarkable hero achieved. Be seated, sir, and thanks for what you did. Now, everybody knows about Annie Oakley, but we're going to have her tell us. Here she comes carrying a bunch of her fancy medals. What did you do to win all those fancy medals, Annie Oakley?
I was a sharpshooter.
I'll say you were. You could take a rifle and hit the target almost every time. Even as a kid, you were helping your family with your shooting skills. How did your shooting skills help your family?
Because when my father died, nobody could hunt for the family but me.
That's right. So Annie would go out after her father was gone. He had died in a blizzard, a terrible blizzard. He had frozen to death. And after that, Annie went out by herself for the years that followed, and she would bring home the supper. Deer meat, rabbit meat, and you became an extremely good shot. Later, you became a big star. The star of what famous show?
I was the star of Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show.
And then around the world you went, showing off your shooting skills to the kings and queens of Europe. And what was so unusual about a girl being a good shot back in those days?
Because women weren't allowed to shoot because they were considered.
Well, I wouldn't say women were not allowed to shoot, but it wasn't thought that women could ever shoot very well. You know, this was not something that they thought women could do, so they just didn't even let women shoot because they could do it anyway. Well, Annie Oakley, you showed them that girls can do great things too, absolutely. Annie Oakley with her rifle, she changed people's minds about what women can do. And so, Annie, you inspire us. Thanks for what you did. Have a seat here next to Januarius McGann as we meet Jane Edna Harris Hunter. And again, we say, who? Never heard of her? Well, let's find out. Born in the South, a young black girl growing up, what did you become for your job?
A nurse.
And as a nurse, you were a good nurse, but you came north, as many African Americans were doing. You came north to what city in Ohio?
Cleveland.
What was your life like when you first got to Cleveland?
It was hard. No one let us stay in the house.
You couldn't find a job, you couldn't find work, you had no friends, you didn't know what you were going to do to eat. It was a rough time, and you never forgot how hard it can be to be a girl all by yourself in a strange city. Luckily, you did find a job helping the nurse, and right away you started a special sort of a club, an association. And what was the purpose of it?
It was to help unmarried African American women and girls decide how they could get back on track.
Yes, and get training, they had a job, and if a girl had no friends in Cleveland, she could find her way to the shelter that Jane organized, and from there have a chance to make a good life. Now, how much did it cost to belong to your club?
5 cents.
Jane gathered up nickels. Nickels by the hundreds. Nickels by the thousands. People said, I will give 5 cents. I will give 5 cents to help with this shelter for the poor. And today, to this day, this shelter that she started is still helping the poor people up in Cleveland. And that's a great way to help people. Thank you for what you did, Jane. Now, you know, here comes Elizabeth Hauser wearing a yellow banner that says, "Votes for Women." Did you know that women did not used to be allowed to vote? Oh, girls, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to vote. You're not allowed to choose your leaders. Well, that's not fair. Elizabeth Hauser thought that wasn't fair. Tell us, why do you think women should be allowed to vote?
Because women were underrepresented in government.
They weren't. And women are Americans too. Women pay taxes. Don't you think they should be allowed to? Elizabeth Hauser thinks so. By the way, what was your job?
I was a reporter and a secretary.
And what were some of the things that women did to try to get the right to vote?
We held big sales and lectures and pageants and protests.
And one time, 10,000 women gathered in Chicago to have a march through the streets. And then you tell, what happened?
It was a terrible rainstorm, and
Did you march anyway?
yes.
Through the rain, 10,000 men marching through the howling rain, the pounding rain, the thunder, the wind off of Lake Michigan. And finally, in what year did you win the right to vote?
1920.
1920. And from this time on, women can go and vote. When you get to be old enough, boys and girls, especially girls I'm talking to, when you get to be old enough, when you go in there to vote, well, you just choose good leaders for our city and our county and our state and our nation. And remember, the reason you're allowed is thanks to women like Elizabeth Hauser. That's why, as she takes her seat, I want the girls to clap hands for Elizabeth Hauser. Good. Thank you. And now, the world's greatest Olympic athlete, the one and only, Jesse Owens. But what's this? He's not just coming up like everybody else. This is Jesse Owens. He's doing a running demonstration. It's Jesse Owens coming around the halfway bend. It's Jesse Owens coming around the three-quarter bend, breaking world's records. Let's everybody clap hands for Jesse Owens. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for your great running demonstration. Now, you were in the Olympics in 1936. In what year, in what country were the Olympics being held at that time?
Germany.
And who was the evil leader of Germany at that dark time?
Adolf Hitler.
Oh, he was a bad man, Hitler. One of the worst. Hitler, he had a lot of evil ideas. What were some of his evil ideas that had to do with you?
He didn't want me to compete in the Olympics.
Why not?
Because I wasn't German or white.
Here's Jesse Owens, a black guy from Ohio. He's gone over to Germany, where Hitler thinks that the black people shouldn't even be allowed to be in the Olympics. Hitler, he thinks that his white Germans are going to win all the gold medals. And so Hitler, he built the biggest stadium the world had ever seen, 110,000 seats, to show off how his white Germans are going to win all the medals. And then along came Jesse Owens. You didn't win just one gold medal, making Hitler really mad. You didn't win just 2 gold medals, making Hitler stomp out of the stadium. Tell him, how many gold medals did you win?
4.
4 gold medals. This had not happened for 30 years. You brought home the gold, Jesse Owens, but more important than that, you showed the world that it's people that do great things. People, not just the white Germans, but people, including African Americans from Ohio like Jesse Owens. We're proud of you, Jesse. Head over there and take yourself a seat. Here comes another soldier, but it wasn't always a soldier. Roger Young was a kid, going to school like you, playing sports in a gym like this. What were some of the sports you played?
Baseball, basketball, and football.
One time playing basketball in the gym here, something bad happened to you. What was it?
I got knocked out when I was going up for a shot, and I got bad hearing in sight.
Yeah, your concussion that you had when you banged your head on the gym floor, it affected your hearing and your eyesight. So you never did see or hear quite as well after that. But you still volunteered to be in the Army. And in World War II, they needed good men in the Army. And you were a good man. So off you went to fight the Japanese. Then one day, you and your men were walking through a green jungle on an island in the South Pacific when suddenly shots rang out. What was happening?
There was machine gun fire out of my troop.
And what did you do? They all hit the ground. They couldn't move forward. They couldn't move backward. They were all going to be killed by the Japanese machine gun nest unless somebody did something. What did you do?
I saw the machine gun fire, so I started walking toward it, but I got hit in the shoulder, so I kept on going. I was crawling, and I threw a grenade. Sadly, I missed the first 2, but I ended up hitting with the 3rd one, but I died of injury.
Yes, it's right. As he threw the 3rd grenade, blowing up the machine gun nest, just as he threw it, the final shots from the machine gun took the life of Roger Young. This is a fallen hero. This is what we call a fallen hero. It doesn't mean that he tripped and fell. It means that he was killed doing his hero thing. That's how we call him a fallen hero. You were buried in Clyde, Ohio, your hometown, with a beautiful marble tombstone. We have a copy of it here. And after you were gone, your family was given a great honor. What was that?
The Medal of Honor.
The Medal of Honor. Let us all salute a fallen hero, Roger Young, as he makes his way to his final resting place. And now, here comes Emma Gatewood. She is carrying a sleeping bag, and she is carrying a sign. Turn around, I'll see your sign. Appalachian Trail. What is this Appalachian Trail, Emma Gatewood?
It is a trail that runs through 14 states and starts in Georgia to
Oh, it must be a long trail. It goes through 14 states. How long is it?
2,168.
And what did you do with this 2,168-mile trail, Emma Gatewood?
I hiked it.
You hiked the whole thing? First woman ever to hike the whole Appalachian Trail. Tell us how old you were when you hiked it.
68.
68 years old? You were a grandma. Oh, you must have had people along to help you and everything.
No, I didn't.
You went by yourself? Think of that. A 68-year-old grandma, first woman to hike the Appalachian Trail. And you must have seen animals out there in the woods. What were some of the animals that you saw?
Just squirrels and deer and birds and all those.
Occasionally you must have seen a snake, or a skunk, or a bear. But if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone, pretty much. And when you got to the end of that last mountain up in Maine, what song did you sing? America. She knew how beautiful America is because she had seen it. She had hiked 5 million steps from Georgia to Maine, all the way through 14 states. Well, you are amazing, Emma Gatewood. Hike on over there, you show us that older people can do great things too. You inspire me because I'm getting to be an older person myself. Take a load off your tired feet, Emma, and have a good rest.